The METUS Tech Show.
Welcome to the METUS Tech Show, a show for HVAC professionals by HVAC professionals.
The METUS Tech Show.
Mitsubishi.
So Jorge, I hear you play a little guitar.
Yes, sir. Yeah. I started playing guitar at the age of 16 years old. Literally, no lie. My uncle had a really old guitar because he used to live with us, and he had an old guitar and that he brought with him.
An acoustic guitar?
It was an acoustic guitar. Believe it or not, I only had 3 strings on it.
Nice.
And I just picked it up, learned how to tune the 3 strings that were there, and made sounds out of it. Yeah, at first it was horrible, and then it sounded decent. And then
now,
I was like,
did it have nylon strings on it, or was it?
It was a classical guitar, so it had nylon strings.
Yep. All right.
Yep.
Nice.
And the 3 strings that were available was actually the 3 nylon strings, the high pitch strings, and I started making it sound good with only 3 strings.
That's all you need to make a song, right?
And then I was like, I gotta get me a real one, and I bought me it was a Fender.
Yep.
Classical. It wasn't expensive. It was actually one of the cheapest ones. And from there, I learned chords.
Yep.
I started playing chord progressions, and then I was like, well, these chords sound cool. They, they're easier to do. Let me go ahead and get an electric guitar. And I learned the bar chords on an electric guitar, and then boom, I've been loving it. Been playing it ever since.
Yeah, music's always been a huge part of my life. I started out, believe it or not, with an accordion. To make my parents happy. And they tried getting me lessons. That didn't work out. I started playing keyboard. I moved to guitar, played some, just like you, had a guitar kicking around. It was my grandmother's guitar, and the thing had a couple of strings on it. And then progressed from there. I picked up the bass guitar and started playing in bands. I've been playing in bands for over 20 years. Wow. And I was in the last band I was in for 10 years, and I just recently stopped playing with them, but we were playing every weekend. But yeah, music is definitely just an awesome thing and been a big part of my life. And I'm glad to hear you play a little bit of guitar. That's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, but I tried other instruments prior. Yeah, I was all right.
Yeah.
Like you said, keyboard. I even tried the drums. I was
Yeah, right.
Guitar just kicked. Guitar,
yeah, definitely.
It stuck with me. So.
Yep. All right. Welcome to the METUS Tech Show for HVAC professionals by HVAC professionals for the service tech in the van. Right. My name is Steve Pimentel, technical training manager, instructor out of the Boston Training Center. And we got a special guest with us today, Jorge Valladares. He's the area service advisor for METUS. So, Jorge, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, so I'm the area service advisor for the Southern Business Unit.
Okay.
So the Southern Business Unit as a whole, we cover, if I'm not mistaken, it's Virginia and Tennessee on south, on the East Coast. So that's what, Virginia, North and South Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida.
Nice. So do you have any other ASAs or ASMs that work with you?
Yeah, so I specifically only cover Georgia and the Carolinas. And I live in Georgia. I'm only about 30 minutes from the office here in Sewanee. We also have Bob Sparks.
Okay.
He does the whole entire state of Florida. Which, believe it or not, state of Florida, he's only covered one state, but he has plenty work.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's a big state to cover. And Bob's a cool dude. I like Bob.
We also have, sorry to interrupt, we also have Paul Messer. He's our senior area service manager.
Yep.
He covers Tennessee and Virginia. And then we just added Jason Keltner to our team. He does Mississippi, Alabama.
Very cool. So how long have you been with METUS?
I've been with Mitsubishi since 2012. It was basically 10 and a half years.
Wow.
Yeah,
it's a long
been
run.
A long time.
Yeah,
10 years. Can I go back and discuss like from where I started?
Yeah, definitely do that.
Yeah, so I was actually one of the original members of our customer care team. So when we got hired, if there was a technician or a distributor or even an end user, architect, et cetera, they call Mitsubishi. There wasn't one set phone number. You could Google it and you get probably hundreds of different numbers. And whatever number you do call will probably end up having some random person answering the call. And then, you tell them what you need and, okay, I'll transfer you to that person. Or they'll be like, I'll transfer you to a voicemail or something like that. And they'll probably never get a call back. Or if they do, it'll be like next week or something.
So it wasn't exactly well organized like it is today. It's a lot. We have a huge customer care department now, right? Different tiers. And we can talk a little bit about that, but that's awesome. But you started out in tech support, which is a huge advantage in going into the position you're in now. Yes. Right?
Yes. So it was customer care, then tech support. So customer care, you do a little bit of everything.
I got you. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So customer care, the group that we started, we had to be trained. It took us 90 days training before we actually took our first call.
Oh, wow.
We literally learned everything that METUS does. And if it's something that we aren't 100%, comfortable with, discussing with a customer, then we knew who to transfer it to and make sure that person was able to get a call back. So we had to learn operations, how to look up parts, how to look up orders, how to give statuses, pricing to distributors. And then I had to learn, how to pull up a service manual and, a guy comes up with an error code, tell him where to find it before I transfer it to tier 2.
Wow.
Applications. We had to learn simple application stuff. And something that we couldn't handle, then we have an applications department available for that. And
that's amazing. I didn't know that. I'm learning something today about the company. I didn't know how things ran back in the day 10 years ago. We've grown so much in a short amount of time. So you went from customer care then to technical support.
Technical support.
All right. Yeah. And I've listened to a couple of your technical support calls. Some that we use in training. We use them all the time just because they're so educational, right? Some of the top issues that you guys get calls for. So you did that for how many years, technical support?
So I was customer care for 2 years, and then after that it's technical. So about 8 years, because I started my new role about a year ago. So it's probably 7 years in tech support. And I started, when you first get hired as a TSA, you actually go through tiers in the actual technical support group as well, because we want to make sure that when we get a call that's been escalated to us, right? Customer care couldn't handle them. Well, then tier 2 has to go above and beyond. And our mission at that point is to make sure that we solve the problem.
Gotcha.
As tier 2. So when I first started tier 2, I was only doing residential, only M&P. And that's where you got that call. Whoever took our M&P training class or our advanced M&P a couple years ago, they used to play that phone call during the training class.
Right.
For the upside down unit. That's where you got that call, because I used to do residential all day, every day, and you might have heard, oh yeah, I hear that. I hear this problem all the time. Well, it's because that's all I was getting.
Yeah.
The whole time I was here, 8 hours, is straight up residential calls all day.
Right.
And then from there, they put me to commercial, which is our commercial product is City Multi.
Yeah.
And then I worked on controls, and somewhere in between, we had what was called a tier 2 technical support applications.
Right.
Now we have a separate applications department that's not part of tech support. But I used to take application calls too. So I used to get calls from guys like, hey, can I put this unit on a boat? Or can I put it, 450 feet away from the unit?
Can you bury refrigerant lines
or
something like that, right?
Yeah.
Where can I mount a wall mount unit 4 feet up on a wall? No, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Right?
One time I had a call, I think it was on a military base overseas or something. They couldn't have the electrical circuit boards inside the cabinet where the compressor and the fan motor is. So they wanted to know if they could, basically splice in their own wires so they could have all the circuit boards
separate
on a separate building. Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, so again, you got a lot of you've seen a lot of things and got a lot of experience being on that side of the field, and now you're out in the field supporting DSGs, supporting contractors out in the field, right? So now you're an area service advisor. So tell us a little bit about that. At what point do you get called out on a site?
Okay, so area service advisor, basically, I'm now in field support, right? So I'm the guy, like you said, who supports the DSG. DSG, by the way, is the distributor, either field service representative or tech support representative, ductless technical specialist,
Yeah,
etc.
so by the way, DSG stands for Diamond Service Group.
Yes.
Member. So just an acronym for Diamond Service Group. And that's the distributor, right?
Yeah, they're distributor employees that's been trained on our equipment, and they should be self-sufficient to the point that they could support the contractor prior to me getting involved.
Right. So the contractor should call the DSG, hit their DSG first, their distributor for support.
Yeah. So they're just think of it like their distributor tier 2.
Gotcha.
Right? So we have tier 1, which is customer care for us, and then we got tier 2, which is a TSA. Yep. And then tier 3 would be an area service advisor or manager. And, you got the same tier with your distributor. If you just go straight to your distributor tech support, then that you've already gone to tier 2,
Right. I got you.
And the Diamond Service Group members, they could create cases just like our tech support and our customer care employees could do so.
Yeah, and you have access to those cases. So you look that up on Salesforce, right?
Yes, sir. Same exact cases. Yeah.
Okay. So at that point, when the DSG can no longer support the contractor, they've hit a brick wall, so to speak, and they can't figure out what is going on with this system. Now I need to get somebody from Mitsubishi involved. That's where you come in.
That's where I come in.
All right. Tell us a little bit about where that starts. Does it start with a phone call? Or is it a direct visit to a site?
Yeah. So then there's, like I mentioned, there's 2 ways to get at a job site. So you could go with your distributor rep, DSG. They'll probably get on site first.
Okay.
That's what I like about the DSG is that not only can they take a phone call, they could take a phone call and be like, hey, tomorrow I'm free. Can I come by tomorrow with you and take a look at it? Because they're local, right? And then text, when you go through us, you got customer care. They're going to create a case. If it's something simple, they handle it there. If not, then they got to escalate you to tier 2. Then tier 2, they have calls in line. They have to take it one at a time. And then once they receive a call, they help you. They try and solve it right then and there. If it's not something that they could solve, then that's when they not only reach out to me, they reach out to the DSG as well. So the importance of a DSG should be highlighted because whether you go through our tier system or not, DSG is heavily involved when it comes to job site visits. Actually, I technically can't go on a job site without a distributor representative with me on the site.
Because you're not really putting your hands in the equipment. The contractor is on site doing that if there's a repair to be made, something like that.
Yes,
right?
yes. So I'm not the technician there to do the repair. I'm the technician there to basically look at what I can't see over the phone, what our tech support can't see over the phone.
Gotcha.
That's my job, basically.
Awesome. So what would you say are some of the most common issues that you see out in the field, whether it be residential or commercial?
Great question. You might be a little disappointed with this. You might want me to be like, hey, it's going to be a blower on a wall mount or something. No. It's the most common issues I've seen. It's one of them is just the lack of in-depth information that we receive on the phone support side of the technical side. Yep. So what I mean by that is, for example, when we have a checklist of things to ask when we're on the phone. One of them is voltage. That's very important.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Incoming voltage, right? L1, L2. That's where it all starts.
Yeah. Yeah. And what I like to tell people in training classes, if you speak to tech support, we're going to ask you what that voltage is. Don't get offended, but that's part of the questions we ask. And there's other questions that you're like, man, why you got to ask me this? It's a waste of time. But no, it's needed information.
Right.
For example, if I ask for voltage, you tell me it's 230 volts, and then I come on site and it's 253. I'm like, well, this is on a higher spectrum.
There's a range, right?
Yeah.
So like 187 to 253 is our range for incoming voltage, and if you drop below that minimum or above that maximum, there could be issues with the system. Yeah,
exactly. And that's one example. Another example would be, something as simple as, hey, the blowers are they clean or not? That's something very common on the wall mount.
Right. And a lot of people don't realize just a basic Mitsubishi electric wall mount unit should be cleaned and serviced, maintained, have some preventive maintenance at least twice a year. And especially if it's heating and cooling. These units need to be cleaned and washed just like any other HVAC system. So yeah, I see a point. If you got a dirty indoor unit, you got problems.
Yeah, I agree 100% on that. And that is one of the questions we ask is the blower clean? A lot of people, when they're right there in front of the unit, they're frustrated. Technicians in the field, they're frustrated. They've probably already spent hours working on it before they even reach out to us. And you ask them a simple question as, is the blower will clean? They're probably going to say yes, just to have you go on to the next step. And then I've gone to plenty job sites where the conditions, the cleanliness of the equipment, isn't up to par. And that's part of the reason why you're not getting enough capacity. You're not getting enough airflow.
Right. Yeah.
So that's unfortunately the lack of in-depth information. Another example I would like to bring up is tools. So a psychrometer, not just a regular thermometer,
right.
Especially in the summertime here in Georgia, humid. Oh, especially in South Carolina, I could imagine Bob's in Florida, all that humidity out there on the coastline. And, a thermometer could only get us the dry bulb temperature, right? But if we want to accurately sense what the output capacity is, right, we need to know what that wet bulb. So a psychrometer is needed, not just a thermometer. When you're working on our ducted units and we want to confirm proper airflow, proper BTUs, we need a manometer to check the static pressure.
Yeah.
Also, if there is ever a need to hook up gauges, you need to know what you're doing with your gauges, stuff like that. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to job sites and they don't, I wouldn't say they don't know how to use them, but they just have tools that really can't get me too far into the troubleshooting process.
Right.
And it does become a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah, and tools have come a long way. Now, instead of just a set of manual gauges, we have electronics and technologies played a role in this. We have smart probes.
Yeah.
Bluetooth smart probes, right? Now we have Bluetooth temperature clamps. So having all these high-tech tools, I mean, it's going to help that contractor on the job site. It's going to help you when you show up to help them.
Yep.
Right. So having all those tools is really important. I agree.
And in general, back on that lack of in-depth information, just general things that they won't tell us over the phone. That not that they won't tell us, but that we can't see.
Right.
And and I kind of understand where the contractor or technician is coming from. They may not think that's important information, but in the long run, when I finally get on site, I look at it at a different angle compared to them. The distributor will look at it at a different angle, and those may end up being very important information.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So what happens if you've gone as far as you can go and you're still scratching your head? We really got an issue with this system. We need to get more in depth. Where does that go from there? Is there another tier?
Yes. So if you ever gone to our training, we do mention this a couple times. Tiger team.
The Tiger team.
The Tiger team.
That's the elite.
That's the elite right there. So basically, in tier 2, as a TSA, I could reach out to an area service advisor. I used to do the 10 to 7 shift. So I know that after 5, if I needed help, I'm very limited with people in the office that could help me. So what I did, I just called the guys in California, the service advisors, service managers in California.
Different time zone that works,
Yeah, and they helped me out. So, they got resources, TSAs, they have resources either in person or over the phone that they could call to help them if they're stuck on something. Well, as an area service advisor myself, if I'm ever stuck on something, Tiger Team is that resource that I have.
Yeah, so you have your counterparts that you can reach out to, your coworkers, right, so to speak. And you can also take that, like we just mentioned, to the Tiger team, and they kind of look things over with a fine-tooth comb. Yep. Right. If they're actually pulling that case number and getting in, then it's the real deal. They have to dig in and figure out what's going on. That may be a warranty issue at that point, right? Or just a system that keeps malfunctioning. Yeah. Maybe you keep blowing compressors. Why do you keep blowing compressors? Is it an installation issue where debris get into the system, or is it on our end? Is there some kind of malfunction happening on our system, right? Because it happens on both sides. Let's be honest with each other. These systems are only as good as how they're installed, and I don't care what brand you're installing any kind of HVAC system. It's only as good as how it's installed. But on the same token, you could have issues with a Mitsubishi system, maybe something that came from the factory that could have been defective, but the Tiger team is there to really dig in and figure out why this is happening, right?
Tiger team is heavily involved in that, so that we could catch any problem that is on our end and make sure that the masses don't run into it. Make sure we solve that problem before it becomes a bigger problem. And Tiger team also will go on on-site visits as well. Yeah. And if they go to an on-site visit, that job is definitely out of the ordinary.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. So they're bringing all their test equipment, which is probably beyond what you or I carry on a service call. Oh, yes. They're prepared for it, and they're just great guys. And I love to pick their brain any chance I get because they're so full of information. The knowledge they have just blow your mind, right? Yep. About the Mitsubishi product, about HVAC in general. As an ASA, what would be probably the most challenging part of your job?
Well, everything is going to have some sort of challenge, especially at this point. This is technically, as we discussed, Tier 3. Yeah. So I'm not going to get a simple question that Tier 1 would get anymore. Right. Those S1, S2, S3 troubleshooting, those are long gone for me. I put those to bed. So I would have to say the majority of questions that I'm being asked is out of the ordinary stuff, is a little bit more advanced. Right. So I wouldn't say that that's challenge. That's nature of the beast, right? Yeah. That's part of the position. I guess I'll kick it back on when I'm in the field, right? One of the most challenging things is when I'm in the field and the end user is heavily involved, which there's nothing against that. I put myself in the end user's shoes as well. If I spent X amount of money, whether it's only $2,000 or $20,000 on equipment, I want it to work properly. Yeah. So I understand 100% where they're coming from. The challenging part I've noticed is lack of end user education.
Yeah. Right? Educating the customer. Exactly. I talk about that all the time in class. Just basic stuff, right? How to use the controller. Give them a tour of the handheld controller. Give them a tour of the MHK2, the wired controller. How does it work? Make the customer understand that with a multi-zone system, they can't have mixed modes, right? Stuff like that. Exactly. Little things are going to prevent those callbacks. Again, education, the customer education, the end user education is so important.
When I was in customer care, I did speak to homeowners back then. Because like I said, whatever call we receive, we have to handle it accordingly, right? But then as a Tier 2, we rarely speak to a homeowner. And if we do, it's I think the only product that we could support homeowners with right now is Tier 2 would be our Kumo Cloud. Right? Okay. Because the technician doesn't always have to be there for Kumo Cloud since it's a mobile app support. But other than that, end user, speaking to end user and, you can't get at an end user the same way you could get at a contractor. Contractor, they know the technical terms. They know, more or less proper sequence of operations, et cetera. When you speak with a homeowner, you have to be, in a way, more detailed, but then not as detailed as you would when you're speaking with someone that's technical. Right. I hate to say the words layman's, but you have to sometimes break it down in layman terms. Yeah. And that's no offense to a homeowner. there's,
Yeah, you can't start talking about subcooling and superheat with a homeowner.
Exactly. They're not going to know that, vice versa. If we go to a doctor's visit, right? My arm ain't working right.
Yeah.
If they start talking to us in all those technical science terms, we're going to be like, what are you talking about? Am I going to be back to normal?
Right.
So that's one of the challenges.
And on the other hand, too, you could have a customer that's very educated in something like Kumo Cloud, right? They're showing you how to hook up Kumo Cloud. And that's happened a few times, right? They know their IT system. They know their router, their gateway in their home. Or you show up on a job site and the customer has a sling psychrometer. Or maybe they have, temperature thermometers all over the house. And they're saying, look, this ain't keeping up. My humidity's high, whatever. They're already ahead of the game. You got to be ready to handle it. Yeah, definitely. Now, what would you say is your favorite part of your job? What gets you out of bed in the morning?
Favorite part, see, I'm naturally a problem solver. And
it's gratifying.
Yes.
To figure something out and get something working, right? Yeah. I'm the same way. Yeah, so, definitely.
One of the most challenging thing is to deal with the end user in terms of product knowledge and how our equipment works. Well, vice versa. One of the most satisfying things is seeing the end user smile and joke and be happy that Mitsubishi came to my house and, we found a solution to our problem, or at least we have a solution pending. That's very satisfying. And it was one of my favorite parts.
That is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, for a contractor out in the field, the service guy in the truck, his first place to start, I got to say, would be mylinkdrive.com. That's mylinkdrive.com. All of our service manuals are on there, all of our installation manuals, even engineering manuals. We have tech tip videos, app notes, just a ton of information on one website. You don't need a special login to get in. Anybody can go on mylinkdrive.com. And I'll tell you, and you know this from being in tech support, when someone calls you or calls customer care, we open up my link drive. You guys open up my link drive and open up the unit specific manual and start looking in there. So we don't have a special my link drive, right? We don't have a special place to go. It's the same one that anybody can log into. Also, I'd like to mention training, and we have a multitude of classes that you can sign up for. Go to MitsubishiComfort.com and navigate over to the professional section, and you can log in and register for a class. Look at our calendar of classes. We have basic residential M&P classes. We have advanced M&P classes. We have advanced residential controls classes. Then if you get into the commercial classes, you have city multi classes, in-person classes. We have advanced city multi classes, advanced controls, commercial controls classes, and then all of our free webinars that are available on the LMS. Again, MitsubishiComfort.com, and navigate over to our training section. Definitely take advantage of the training. 2003 is bringing in a lot of training on newer equipment. We have a lot of new equipment coming out, right?
Oh, yes.
The Inflation Reduction Act is actually, there are some rebates that are built into that a lot of people probably don't know about. We're going to actually have a podcast episode on that particular topic. All the rebates and the tax credits that'll be available in 2023, it's going to be huge, and it's going to keep us busy, right? So, Jorge, thank you for coming on to this episode of the METUS Tech Show, and let's do this again.
My pleasure, man. I greatly appreciate you reaching out to me, and it's an honor that I'm the first area service advisor on the show.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll maybe have to get Bob Sparks on here, or Paul Messer, or someone else from your team on this podcast. Definitely.
Yeah, great. That's a great idea. And shout out to my manager. We call him the BU Service Technical Manager. His name is Daryl Smith.
Butzum for sure, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Daryl's the man as well.
Daryl Smith. Yeah, he's been doing what we do.
He's been here a long time.
Yeah, we're broken up. I just told you all the people involved. he used to, him alone, do all those states, plus more, because it wasn't broken up how it is now when he started.
Yeah, and I hear about that. Some of the guys that have been here 30 years, it's incredible. You know, when they started out, it was like a little group of like, I don't know, like 30 or 40, 50 people here for Mitsubishi Electric in the United States, and it just grew, and now we're up above 500 employees plus and growing.
All over the place now. California, Texas, Chicago, New York, New Jersey. Yeah.
All right. So again, thanks Jorge for being on this episode, and I hope this helps contractors out in the field. I hope this helps maybe new DSGs out in the field, and we'll see you on the next episode of the METUS Tech Show.
Good one.